Today's story is a true story, even though it is considered one of the scariest horror stories ever. A story that the human mind would probably not believe, but it actually happened somewhere. One day, there was a beautiful girl coming out of the cinema with a friend of hers. Her friend left her and completed her way on foot, and if someone comes up to her from behind and hits her hard on the head, when she wakes up, she finds herself in a room covered all over with reinforced plastic bags. The girl tries to get up on her feet but feels some imbalance. She reaches for the door handle and gets out of the scary room, finds herself in a very beautiful house, other than the room she is being held in, and in front of her, there is a young man who tells her that he found her on the road, passed out. Maybe she had an accident. In his hand, he gives her her phone and asks her to call her parents to check on her. She was feeling very scared towards him beside her, but she approached to take her phone from him, and if he throws the phone away and laughs at her in a hysterical way that instills fear inside her. So the girl runs towards the door to get out of the whole house, but finds it locked, runs towards the kitchen, takes a knife, and threatens the young man with it, threatening him not to approach her or kill him with it. So he approaches her with deadly calm and takes the knife from her hand, and without the slightest mercy, he sticks it in her thigh until the end of the knife. The girl screams in pain, and in an attempt to pull the knife out of her body, scares her that if she does so, the blood will flow out of her and take her own life. So the girl scares him and crawls on the floor back to the room from which she left. Opens her bag, and if she finds her Bluetooth headphones in the bag, she puts it in her ear in the hope that someone will call her, and she answers before the phone catches the attention of the deranged young man. Indeed, her mother calls on the phone, and the girl answers her and tells her to call the police because she was kidnapped by a mentally ill young man. The poor girl was talking in a very faint voice, fearing that the psychopath would feel her. Then he would only cut her into pieces and eat her right away. And indeed, her mother does what her daughter asked her. And indeed, the police are able to locate her through her phone. But she is in a place full of skyscrapers and full of houses as well, as if they were looking for a needle in a pile of hay. He was with the rescue team, who struggled to reach the designated place in front of them. And when they arrived, they were surprised. They had a doctor with them to save the poor girl, and the girl was still in touch with them. The doctor asked her to press her nails and tell her what would happen, and the girl liked her, that she was white. Here, the doctor realized that they only have 1 hour, and the girl will lose consciousness after losing a lot of her blood. One of the investigators found only one way when the girl was unable to describe the place where she was being held, and her description did not lead them to anything. So he asked her to light fires in the place so that they could find her as soon as possible. One of the paramedics asked her to look for a lighter or sulfur and ignite the flames around her, trying as best she could to protect herself from any possible harm. And indeed, the girl found a lighter in the bathroom, but unfortunately, it was not working. The investigator advised her to remove the top of the lighter and drag her on the floor to make a spark. And indeed, the girl did this, but her balance was disturbed. She was feeling very weak, and the entire rescue crew worried about her and feared for her life. And at this moment, her mother came and talked to her and encouraged her to do this to regain her freedom and enable others to help and save her. Indeed, the girl managed to start a fire, and before she closed the bathroom door on herself, she lost consciousness. Indeed, the rescue team managed to find out exactly where she was. From the window, fearing the flames, they managed to enter, and the first person to set foot in the house found the deranged young man waiting for him. He put the knife on his neck, threatening the others to retreat or kill him without any mercy. Of course, They are people trained in such situations, who managed to avoid him and handcuff him, and they entered the room where the girl and the fire exploded from the whole house, and they were able to extinguish it. As for the girl, she was completely unconscious, and she was suffering from suffocation due to heavy smoke. The doctor tried to help her as much as possible, and they carried her to the ambulance, and everything necessary was done for her. On the other hand, the psychopath was in another ambulance, and the investigator was interrogating him. His answers were extremely provocative, so the doctor, who is part of the rescue team, put alcohol on his wounds to feel the pain, and the deranged young man admitted that he killed 6 of the girls, cut them up, and ate them too, and no one has been able to find out about his crimes to this day. The deranged young man was basically when they investigated him by a veterinarian working for a state body, and he was fired from his job because he was killing animals in a brutal way. He was basically a psychopath, and if it weren't for God's will, no one would have found out about him in the first place, and he would have continued to harm people and animals.